Hey everyone, welcome to the 507th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patron Timon Burkhofer. Thanks, Timon. Just up to the $20 level. Got a hat. You know, as being a real team player, everyone else is welcome to do that as well. I'm Oren Kaplan.
And I'm Matt and Oren. Today we've got Bella Gonzales on the show. She's an incredible DP. We had such a good conversation with her. Some of her credits include
Fargo,
Alien.
I mean, she's here to talk about Alien, which is cool. And she's shot so much stuff. She shot a bunch of stuff for Noah Hawley, but she also shot Pen 15. She shot The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox, the Ryan Murphy show. And she is really cool. I got to be honest.
She's so fun. Yeah.
DPs are a little hit or miss, you know? Some of them will tell you like really interesting things. And
I would say most of the time they're not very good guests. That's why we don't have them on very often. Bella was great.
And we didn't know Bella. I think just like somehow we got contacted by someone she knew. And then I was like, wow, she shot some cool things.
Credits are cool.
I love her season of Fargo that she shot.
Yeah.
The Juno Temple one. And so it's like, let's do it. And it's crazy. I actually didn't even know that Alien Earth was a Noah Hawley show until we had her on the podcast. But you know, that guy knows how to tell a compelling story.
Yeah, pretty rad. Well, and Bella felt like fast friends, you know, like she's kind of in the same world, though I think a little bit more pure TV. She kind of came up, as we talk about on the show, like through operating. And so I think I'm always jealous of like cinematographers and art people because there's such a clear trajectory of apprenticeship. And that doesn't always work out for people, but when it does, it's so awesome. It's so cool. And Bella, you could just tell, was one of those people that was tenacious and hungry and there and available. You know what I mean? If you're in the building, if you're present, and you have the good fortune to like be on a team where they promote from within, I think that's the real X factor, which we talk about on the show.
I got to tell you, between Ben Semenoff of Ozark and Black Rabbit, and who shoots a lot with kids and operates herself, and Bella, I've gotten really like homesick. I've nostalgic for operating. Yeah,
shoulder up, Kaplan. Throw it on the.
Oh, this is so. Yeah, I mean, there is like something to that dance and curiosity and the discovery that is you are disconnected from a little bit when you're not operating, which you know you and I are barely operating. So. Yeah, I want to operate a little bit more.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe I'll also get to shoot Alien Earth. Okay.
Yeah. Not a bad idea. Yeah. It was really fun. And also we touch upon the thing, I think, especially as a cinematographer and probably as like a creature person too, there's like a handful of movies that are just kind of like, it almost feels like fan fiction. Like we talk about her like shooting like a big beam of light through like a foggy fan, just like the alien shot. And getting to do that is just like such a dream come true bucket list sort of situation. It was a really fun conversation.
Yeah. And speaking of fun conversations, you should tell people about our Patreon. You know, this is coming out on Christmas. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you do. You know, this is not financial advice, but I think you could probably write off like a patronship to Just Shoot It. If you're a filmmaker, you're investing in your education. Come on.
I think under scrutiny, that's not great advice. But
why? Who scrutinizes? The IRS has been completely gutted. There's like 6 people left there. Do you watch Hacks?
I'm not up to date, unfortunately.
God, Jim. Matt, you know my wife is on it. Is that why you don't watch it?
No, because Survivor is on nonstop.
At the same time as Hacks, and you don't have a TiVo?
I have.
So Megan Stalter, who plays Kayla on Hacks, is
so funny.
So funny. And she said on that show that if you just thought of business while you're doing something, you can write it off. So again, this is not advice, but
take advice from her for sure.
If you want to go to our Patreon and invest in your own education, invest to keep this podcast going. I mean, I don't know. Is it too self-righteous to say that this is educational in any way? I mean, it's educational for us.
I think that's absolutely true. I think it's totally valid to say,
especially an episode like this. Anyway, patreon.com/justshootitpod. You can give us $1, $2, $10, $20. We've even done some in-person events recently. And it's, 2026. Let's see what happens with this little podcast of ours.
I think it's going to keep going.
Yeah. Well, it's in your hands now. Patreon.com/justshootitpod. Let us know if it should keep going. Other than that, should we talk to Bella?
Let's hop in with Bella.
You say you're a fan of the show.
Pop quiz. Which one's Oren?
Yeah, that is a good question. That is like something that I think anyone that listens to the show would know, but no one that doesn't listen to the show would know.
I mean, you guys do have the cheat sheet, though.
I don't think that's true, actually, because I literally met a listener who called me Oren, and I was like, I'm Matt. And he was like, oh, I'm glad because I like you better.
Oh,
yeah, but he was lying.
But he was, I mean, you can't tell the difference, so probably not.
Well, anyhow, I was curious. You've done like 2 episodes of so many shows.
Yeah.
Is that like, as a cinematographer coming in to do like episode 5 and 6 of a show?
Yeah.
What's like? I'm sure the answer depends on the show, but yeah, how do you come in and put your own spin on it, but also lean into what? Actually,
before we even get into the craft of it, I'm curious on a business level, because it sounds like you're a bit of a pinch hitter in that way. How does that even occur, right? Because most of the time, 1 or maybe 2 DPs carry across an entire season. So it's rare to kind of drop in for a few episodes. Under what circumstances does that happen?
I've done both, but I feel like recently, as the work gets bigger, they also become these like kind of opportunities for me to come in and work with other DPs. And so, I mean, they're all really from working with people of the past and then them knowing what they need for the time being and like knowing that there's a good slot for me. So that's like how Ted Lasso worked out. Like I only did 1 episode, but it's with Declan Lowney, who I did 2 seasons of Big Door Prize with. So it was basically just, hey, do you want to do this with me? Which is amazing. And Pen 15 is kind of like a weird one where they actually went down for COVID and it was 455 days later and they block shoot the entire show. So I came back and finished the entire season. And then we had 2 episodes that I had to shoot pretty much in totality. So like, that's kind of a weird situation.
Pump the brakes for, I think most of our listeners know, but when you say block shoot, what do you mean?
So because they have children in that show, or they did at the time, they kind of, also a different word for it's like crossboarding, where you're shooting all the episodes at the same time at any given day. So you might be doing episode 2, 4, and 5 on one day.
All of the scenes at the school, they're going to shoot out all in a row, even if you're only in the school for episodes 5, 2, and 13 or whatever.
So it's usually for locations or availability of actors or kids, you know, we can only work with them for like 10 hours a day. So sometimes it's just about using kids for the first half of the day and then swapping them out for the second half and using different cast members.
I imagine if you are shooting at a school and you have like 80 kid extras, it's nice to get all the scenes of the season with so many kid extras.
Every time people are walking through hallways or whatever.
Exactly. Which
and so you have to do like wardrobe changes and everything, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's pretty meticulously scheduled, but like going off of the 2 episodes, like I did a TV show that I shot all 10 with 1 director, and it was mostly, it's like a young adult show, and a lot of it took place in a school. So we did like same thing, cross shot the entire thing, shot all the school stuff together in 6 weeks, and then went location by location for the rest of the 10 episodes. So I'm kind of used to that. I think I'm just like down for whatever comes my way, to be honest, that like appeals to me and seems visually cool. And also there's something about now in my career where I'm starting to do a lot more movies. So doing like 7 months to 8 months of a season of television and just isn't as feasible for me anymore. I remember like looking at my resume after doing like 4 years of straight TV, but doing all seasons, and looking at my resume and being like, that doesn't look like that much, though it was 4 years of my life.
You're like, oh, I'm so tired just looking at my IMDb.
But now it's like in the last year, I've had the opportunity to do 2 movies and then 2 episodes of Amanda and then the episode of Ted Lasso. And I think that's it. But like my resume just like expanded in such a big way in that way of thinking. So I think now I'm just kind of like, I like to pop in and join a visual language and add my experience to it, meet new people. It's more appealing to me at the moment. And then it changes when I go to do a show like Alien, where I was there for most of the shooting, though I'm credited for 7 and 8. So,
So what does that mean? You're doing like second unit on some episodes, or?
So on Alien, we shot 2 units the entire time. So we would be doing like main unit would be doing episode 5 and I would be doing episode 3 with different directors, different cast members, and maybe even a different stage, but same time. And so we did that for like 5 months of shooting. And then it's crazy.
I'm honestly, it's more like the reality of you shooting an Alien franchise is just hitting me now. How fun that would be. Do you know?
Oh, so fun.
But also 5 months is crazy. Like, no, you don't even shoot a feature for 5 months. You know, like
yeah. I was gonna say we often remark about how jealous we are of DPs because Oren and I will spend
so much more time working.
Yeah, you guys work.
I did listen to that episode.
You log more time. Yeah, it's just like you guys are you're lapping us 2 or 3 times over. But so it's fascinating to hear like, oh, right, on a season of television that you're carrying through for such a long time, these big, ambitious kind of prestige shows. That's not the case. It's like longer than a feature. Yeah. That's really
I think, and that 5 months was short for me for that show. Like, I think they went for a total of 8, and they had like downtime for the strike, and I came back after the strike because they knew they were going to have to do this kind of simultaneous unit. And so, and again, I was like down for the cause. For me, it was like an honor to be on the show. And
it's probably worth mentioning that Alien is the same team that did Fargo, if you didn't know, which I did not know until I just saw it a few seconds ago. So
which means
it's
you'll
kind
like
of your friends.
Yeah, I call them more like, weirdly, even though I work with them still, my like idols. Like I also know Holly is basically the person that kind of like kickstarted my career into a new level, because I was working as an operator on season 4 until he bumped me up mid-season. Yeah, and Fargo.
Awesome. Yeah, people talk about showrunners that there's kind of 2 types. There's like the type that would recognize like, oh, someone's doing an incredible job as an operator and they're really hard to come by. So we're going to treat you well, but like we want you to be an operator because I don't want to, the machine is already well oiled.
Right.
And then there are the other ones, and it's nice to hear that someone as prolific and as awesome as Noah Hawley is promoting people from the inside. That's, to me, those are the real ones. Those are the best.
I think specifically on that show because the operator's like the keeper of the image, because the directors come in and out, but there's like such a playbook, there's such rules that I think he, thought it worked out that way, where I could understand his language and how to kind of translate it to people that are coming in.
Only because you said playbook and rules, and you know that that's like my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, let's just, what is the playbook and what are the rules on a show like Fargo, which you did seasons 4 and 5. 5 is like, I kind of came and went. I watched the whole first season and then like part of the second season. And then somehow I just started hearing about season 5 from people and Juno Temple. And I just love John Hamm. And my wife and I just watched the first episode and then we just could not stop. It was so good.
Yeah, it's a great season. It's very fun. It's very different than the other ones, which I think is why it kind of hits harder maybe. But so every season's kind of got its own Bible. We get like a typed out kind of thing, but then there's like the general Fargo aesthetic. So like
it spans across all the seasons.
And that's like the lensing.
And is it brought from the Coen brothers and all from the movie?
It is. It's definitely adapted, I think, but like, because the Coen brothers use a lot more longer lenses in their language. And I think each season kind of like the lensing kind of adapted. And then, but going into 5, I feel like 5 became its own thing where like we've done 4 seasons of it and now we're truly like in our own language.
Let's get specific. Like, tell us give me the bullet points, right?
Okay.
The top sheet of season 5, for instance.
Big one is movement wise. We move on the x-axis or the y-axis. We don't do like,
no
like a roll camera diagonal. When we break that rule, we break it big. So instead it will be like we're roaming 360 and it's like a high speed kind of sequence. And so the intention in that
y-axis, is forward and backwards.
Yeah, forward and backwards. We would maybe push in and then boom up or down, but usually not at the same time. They're all for like effect, right? But there's like a simplicity in that I think is very Fargo. It's about good blocking, good acting, and good writing. And we were just kind of like putting it on a stage and trying to tell the story the best way we can. but also it's about the lensing. So it's about, that matters where you put the camera. So like we do a 35 millimeter up close with the tightest eye line you've ever experienced in your life.
And inside as well, I imagine. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
By inside, you mean between the actors?
Between the two actors.
Between the two actors, like a clean. There's a lot, the language is a lot more about the clean single, even though, we do a lot of coverage, and it's not because we need it. It's because it's like to punctuate the writing. So there's a lot more like, if I'm doing an over, but someone moves, we're doing that over and then we're doing another over. We're doing the best eye line possible all the time. So it's like very much about intention behind what the style of what we're trying to do is, and then like doing it right and sticking to our guns. So there's no like sloppy movement,
I love that so much. When you say the best eye line, clarify what you mean.
I mean, like our eye lines are so much so where sometimes they're on the matte box. Most of the time, it's like a piece of tape on the matte box if the actor is okay with it.
Like literally the actor is looking essentially at the camera rather than
like a millimeter to the right of the lens.
Yeah. I mean, if we can, we do them for real. But I think what makes Fargo is there's almost like a weirdness to it, right? And I think part of that weirdness is because you're so able to be with the character and they're looking almost at you and you feel like you're in the story in a weird way. And I think that's like a really important part of the language. And it also, impacts how we're like blocking the scene and how our shot structure is, because sometimes it's about building to that moment,
I see. And so when you're blocking and when you like, are you as a team, have you highlighted like, this is the moment? Like, is it something explicit where it's like, hey guys, the pivotal moment of this scene is this, or is it kind of more obvious? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think some of it's like very much so in the writing. And then what I like to say though, especially from that world, is blocking rehearsals have become so important to me, because what an actor brings to the script sometimes completely changes the way that the scene is interpreted or the way it comes across. And so I tell people, like, even for lighting, it's like, I have a plan always, but once I see the blocking and I see how like the mood and tone of the scene is and where it builds, what it builds to, that's what's impacting every decision I make along with the directors. I think Fargo, we're a lot more involved. The DPs are a lot more involved in the blocking and how we shoot the show, but that's because we're trying to keep it consistent and keep it in our world, which I also think is why there's like a pretty strong team component and why like a lot of us have gone and done Alien, because it's just, we're there to like protect the vision and make the best show, but also work with directors so that they can get the best performances and, really work with the actors and the environment that they're given.
And are you just blocking like right before you shoot the scene? Like, okay, actors, let's block the scene and we'll light it and then we'll shoot it? Or is it, there's like a day of rehearsals, you do the whole thing and then you have a plan coming in?
I think sometimes you have a plan. I think the beauty of a show like Fargo is you have such powerhouses all the time that they have ideas. And that's what I mean is like, we listen
when you say
to those
powerhouses,
ideas.
you mean the cast?
Yeah.
It would feel unnatural for me to do this, or like I was thinking I'd do that. Yeah. Cool.
And we are very much about that. Like John Hamm will come in with ideas and he'll come in with where he wants to go. And usually those things all kind of just like fit together and align in a way that is the show. Sometimes we need to like tweak things, but there are scenes where you have 11 cast members and it's a 10-page scene and you have ideas and maybe the actors will come in and like kind of do what they want to do. And then maybe it's a combination of both, because you're like, well, that's 25 shots. Let's get it
I'd
down
rather
to
jump
like
in 19. A wood chipper.
But usually I like write them all down like on a little piece of paper, and then I like show the AD and the director, and just to make sure that like, because the language is kind of established. It's, I can look at the scene. I can look at this moment right now and know how we would shoot it in Fargo, just because it's so ingrained in my brain, which is like the beauty behind structure and rules. And
is it 3 frontal shots with a very, very wide angle lens?
Well, there's also got to be 3 of us. There has to be a 3 shot.
Oh, sure.
Or a 2 shot. 2 shots the shot of the show.
Sure.
And then we would all have
like
overs.
A profile 2 shot where we're looking at each other.
Yeah, I mean, it could either be a profile. I mean, especially in 5, I think season 5, there's a lot of like cowboys, right? Because of the aesthetic of the show. But like if we were all standing next to each other, there'd probably be a pretty highly symmetrical 3-shot. And if we turned to look at each other, there would be the 2 tightest eye line overs and then singles of all of us, probably central to frame, looking as close to camera as possible.
What about camera height? Are you trying to always stay at eye level based on this kind of XY simplicity, or are you putting the camera low? In season 5, there's this hitman character that is a little, you mentioned the wood chipper. Like there, it is very Coen Brothers. He's very like Javier Bardem and No Country for Old Men.
Those are the kinds of things that change between seasons. Like season 5, both Sam, who's the like kind of, assassin character, and John Hamm both have this language of the camera being low. But for John Hamm, there's also this like toxic masculinity kind of vibe that we're doing. And so we're trying to highlight that like power he feels, so that at the end of the season, when we're not doing that anymore, we've like taken his power away. That's a lot of what Fargo is. It's like, how do we set up an idea that then later in the season transforms into like contrasting images? And so maybe you're not thinking about it as a viewer, but I do think we're impacted by those things, or you just feel the choice. There's like intention, you know? So I think that's the greatest thing with Fargo is like you're setting up with contrasting images. And that's why we have to set up the rules so that it's consistent and we're kind of like working our language through each episode to kind of get to a final point with our visual language.
I love that. I'm curious on a logistical level, right? You said you check in with the AD and, and you're talking to the director. Like if someone comes in with an idea that all of a sudden could blow up your schedule, right? Like if you're like, oh shoot, well now we've got 25 shots. And obviously you guys just figure that out on a show like Fargo.
Yeah.
On a show like Alien, right? Which is in a lot of ways an interesting one-to-one because it's the same showrunner and all of this stuff. And I imagine like the best practices of a Bible gets translated over to that show as well.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
It's okay. Kids, Bella.
No, I love it.
That's why we do it at 8:30.
What's funny is I'm an industry kid, so like I didn't have that. Like my dad was gone.
What did your dad do? What was
he was like an AC. He started transpo, AC, was a DP. Now he's a director, producer. So he like really worked his way up. But it gives me joy to see people with their kids because it took me like getting into the industry to spend time with my dad.
Sure. Circus family. Circus family for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I've got a dad at my kid's preschool who's a producer, and he took his whole family for a feature to Ohio for the summer. And they were kind of stressed about it. And I was like, I think this is going to be the best summer of your life.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. The kid, but they had a good time. The movie was hard, basically, is the punchline. Yeah. So like making movies is hard. Surprise, surprise.
For sure. So hard.
Yeah. That's funny. Welcome back.
Stupid. There's a cockroach. There's a cockroach in the kitchen.
Oh, that's legit.
It's valid.
That's legit. Yeah, totally.
It's its own kind of alien.
But anyone could kill them, right? I mean, or
they're pretty hard. They're pretty hard to kill. Right.
I have a new method.
Are you sure it was cockroach? Not
because we're doing construction in our house. There's like just people are leaving holes open everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's once a week there's a cockroach, and my new method is you just take anything with the hard base and you just smash it on the cockroach. Works really well.
I did on Amanda Knox. We had a cockroach, and they flew.
Hold on. Your method for killing a cockroach is just smush it, and that's your new method.
Yeah. It works like as opposed to trying to find spray or catching it or like it's basically just find something with a hard bottom like a mug.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah. I just
I've
got this new way of sitting down. I walk in front of a chair and then I slowly lower down until my butt touches and then I rest and relax, and it's my new way of sitting.
Okay. I mean, I see your point, but I think there's so many ways to kill a cockroach, and that a lot people's first instinct would be to get a can of Raid.
No, the fundamental way is you smush it before you have poison in your house. You just smush it.
Yeah. I've done the take it outside.
It's not a fly.
Not a cockroach, though. You don't do that with I'm with you on most beings, not a cockroach.
The thing about a cockroach is they're famous for surviving nuclear wars.
Okay, but this is what I was going to say. So I did, and Amanda Knox, we had a scripted cockroach, and I was like, we're surely going to do this VFX.
Then we don't.
Yeah.
No, and then they trained a cockroach to climb up bars. And then someone flew over from the US to watch the cockroach to make sure that we didn't do anything to it.
From ASPCA or like PETA or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And so
But
no
was it
haze.
a standard American cockroach, like those German cockroaches or whatever?
It surely was. It surely was. But we weren't allowed to use haze. And I just honestly, like, I understand. I'm going to do whatever anyone tells me to do. But I was kind of like, a cockroach can survive like nuclear fallout, right? Isn't that what we're saying? So surely haze will not kill this cockroach.
Yeah.
But
that haze is going to kill you sooner than it's going to kill the cockroach. So I'm curious about then, it's a one-to-one in a lot of ways. The best practices are transferred over, but Alien has got to just be more complicated from a technical perspective. There's more VFX. The sets are more constructed and more limiting and more cramped, all of that stuff. Living in the Alien universe is different than living in the Fargo universe, because the Fargo universe is a version of real life and Alien is 2162 or whatever year it is, right?
Yeah.
And are we correct to assume that Fargo is like 99% practical?
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I mean, I think it depends what season, because, the season with Ewan McGregor, he plays a twin. And so he's in it all the time. So there's a lot of manipulation with that. But like season 5 with John Hamm, I think
it's not a ton of set extensions and you're not like all the houses aren't built on stage and all that stuff.
No, I think that's part of that show is the practicality of it. But it's also like, it feels like a smaller machine than something like Alien, for sure. I mean, especially being in Thailand and there being so many people.
Oh,
like
you did shoot in Thailand.
Yeah, we shot in Bangkok.
Because when I shot in Thailand, they're like, sorry, not available on Alien. And then
everybody in Thailand.
Basically everyone in Thailand.
Yeah.
And then everyone we did get, they're like, oh, this was the gaffer on Thailand. Unit 7.
On Alien.
Yeah. No, we were shooting at the same time as White Lotus. But I mean, I think the same thing happens where like Noah will literally call you in the middle of the day. On Fargo, Alien, not so much, but Alien's so crazy. But Fargo, he would call and be like, I have this idea. I'm literally like mid-shoot. He's like, I have this idea. Right. What if we do this like big lighting change? And like Jennifer Jason Leigh will like start in silhouette and then you'll push in and boom up and then the light will change. And you'll be on set and you'll be like, okay, cool. But the thing is on both shows, the filmmaking aspect of it is more important than anything else. And that's what's so unique about this camp is like, we will go...
Give him the chills. It's so cool.
Yeah.
We'll go like reshoot even the fact anything. That
whatever. You just said they'll go reshoot anything? Is that what you just said?
We'll reshoot more than any other show I do. And it's for whatever reason. It's because, we shot episode 1, but then in episode 3, we go back to a set where they had to change the design of the set. And so we have to go back and pick up the scene that they shot prior, or, even like, I think, some things just, they're editing and they just know, and you trust Noah. Like, you don't even question it. Like, sometimes you're shooting something and it's so slight different, but in the end, you understand it completely. He's just very smart like that. And I think we have so much trust in him, and so do our producers. And so, everything is hard to make. Like, it is always chaos, but it's chaos with a purpose. And everyone understands that we're like a driving force towards this vision that is Noah's. And so everyone's usually on board. But I think with Alien, it's like you were saying, like we have creatures and we have, a lot of practical effects like sparks and steam and then you're on these fantastic sets, but like the sets are built in such a way where you can walk through the entire ship. So sometimes you're moving gear and you're like pushing it through the entire Maginot. You know what I mean? So everything's like a little bit more complex. Or you're in the jungle. Like we spent about a month in the jungle, and that was like, okay, everybody get a battery. Everyone have a backpack. We're all going to walk this hike to go shoot the scene. It was like very tactical and very hands-on and definitely like a much bigger machine. But I think that's what felt so historic about it. Like it felt like being a part of film history and just the things we were shooting. Like you guys haven't seen it. So I really, there's part of me is like, don't ruin anything.
It's been low on my list, but after this conversation, it's moving to the top of my list.
It's so great. I mean, I know, and listen, I'm just a fan of like the franchise, but also being a part of it and working on it. As someone that loves filmmaking, as people that like the process, I think even if you didn't enjoy the show, which I'm sure you will, I think you can, the craftsmanship of it in all ways, in all departments, the score, things that have nothing to do with me, I think are really interesting just to like, take in and see what you feel about them. Like, I think all good art's divisive. So if you guys don't like it, it's totally okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
What was the last Alien movie? Resurrection? Romulus.
Romulus,
Yeah.
which was great because Romulus like opened up the door to the next generation of people who had never seen the original.
I randomly watched it on an airplane and it was really good.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's like if you haven't seen the first one, if you watch that and that's your first foray into Alien, I think you understand
it's
all the
okay.
things that Ridley wanted you to kind of take in.
Yeah.
And, but I think like when I saw the film of the first film print I saw of Ridley Scott's Alien, it like changed my life. So, I think that it's just like a really cool franchise. And I think that the fact that people can do successful things and them not be exactly the same and exist in the same universe, but not be like, I think it's really smart on their part. And I think Alien, the TV show, I'm excited. I don't know where it goes, but I'm truly excited to see because I think it will be a big departure from what's existing out there already.
And when you say you don't know where it goes, like which episodes did you shoot?
I did 7 and 8 with
And how
David
many are there?
Franco. There's 8 episodes.
Okay, so you know where
I know where
season
this
1
season
ends.
goes. Yeah, and I
Okay.
have some ideas, but for the purpose of like, whimsy, I
Spoilers,
don't.
yeah.
Well, also I think Noah's like, you never know. And I just have full trust that it will be great. And I think I pick up a lot of the subtle things that, there's like Easter eggs and things that we put in constantly. And if you, read into it enough, I think you can kind of see what he's
See where it's
thinking
going.
about.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some sort of delight in like a couple seasons from now seeing, a YouTube short of like the clues were there all along,
I
and
mean,
like some fan is like highlighting like, oh, this map in the background.
Yeah, you'll notice they use green lighting every
Yes.
time.
or even like it sounds like Bella, you're alluding to like more explicit Easter eggs,
but
like
someone
a
took-
dossier in the background or something like that,
Someone took the trailer, the first trailer that came out, and broke it down in almost a way that scared me, where I was like, that's a lot of information you just pulled from a trailer. Like, because people are really clued in. So I think it is cool. And I think it's made to be consumed and studied. And like, for people that are crazy about the franchise, who probably watched it a lot, there's probably some like a whole different, deeper context. But yeah, I think that like, it's just a really smart show. I think if you like Fargo, to me, a lot of what I've been talking about recently is how similar they are and why Noah was like the perfect person to do Alien.
To do both. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting to me is, so, Noah did Legion, not Legion. And it was great. And I think at the time people are like, okay, who is this guy? And can he handle these characters? And then when he did Fargo, I think people were freaking out for a second because it's like, he's not a Coen brother,
Yeah.
And then, but Fargo was so good. I mean, Legion was so good too, but I think it didn't.
Legion was like ahead of its time. It was like too crazy for the public at that given time that it came out.
Yeah, but it didn't. But I think Fargo is when people really were like, who is this guy? And you're saying that he's kind of this genius. And then on Alien Earth, you're like, well, he just calls and says like, let's do a silhouette and this camera move and this lighting thing. And you trust him because he's got this vision. But how do the directors fit into that
there's
vision?
a lot. I think the thing is like, no, a lot of everything I'm talking about with Noah is made from the first episode, like the rules and the language and the things people know. And then, he's watching what we're doing, like I think good showrunners should, but like everything else is the director. I mean, what I call these shows is it's a true team sport. It's less of like, my director and I are going to come in and we're going to do our thing. It's more like we're making the collective vision that is Alien. And you had to. I mean, like, I was working with every director and I wasn't their DP, but they had to trust me with what their vision was. So like, we would storyboard and I'd talk to them. I have an unfathomable amount of videos of directors talking on my phone because to me, it's so important that their vision comes through. And so it was like, I was literally like shooting and listening to what they're saying specifically about, what's in the background. And
unpack that a little bit more. You like, you're in a meeting and you're like, hold on, I want to make sure I get this. And you just record them. Okay. Cool.
It became pretty commonplace, but it's out of like immense respect to them, right? It's
Sure.
I'm like a director's DP. I know that talking about Fargo and Alien is very, that's like its own world and it is a big collaboration, but like outside of that world, I'm very much like, here's the viewfinder, Miss or Mr. Director. Where do you want to put the camera? Like, what are we thinking? You shot list, and I am there to be your bouncing board and also to be your second set of eyes where I'm like, ooh, I really think we need this close up, like, and use my voice sparingly because I really believe in a director's vision being the vision. That comes from me working with Noah. And so I want them to feel heard and seen and like what they did at the end of the day is what they plan to do or better.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I love that very much. In what ways, like how do you step in and plus things or pitch things or like under what circumstances besides just like thinking through the edit? Are there other instances where you're like, I'm going to chime in and say like, hey, here's a way to improve this?
Yeah. And I'm assuming just to give you a thing that I would think of is sometimes some directors probably aren't thinking about lighting that much, relative to a cinematographer.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think, to be honest, most directors I work with never give me any notes about lighting, which is really cool because I feel
That's because we're behind.
well,
that's why you hire a good
It's like,
DP.
are we lit? Oh, action.
You think that in film school it's going to be like the director setting the atmosphere, like it's a dark and stormy night and there's a ray of light. And I think because I give directors respect where I'm like, this is your world. And I ask so many questions like, what does the world look like to this character right now? What are they feeling? What's different from when we started? And those questions that I ask directors are exactly what shapes my lighting. So I like to think that it does come from them, but it's less of like, oh, I want it to be cool or warm or green, and more like about the story they're trying to tell, whose perspective it is, and what the world looks like to them. And, I like to call myself like a lighting DP, even though I'm so involved with the camera, but like, I don't operate. I'm really with the director and I'm lighting. Those are my two jobs.
That's fascinating because I can think of a lot of DPs who are obsessive about operating. And Bella, I think I picked up outside of cinematography, you had a professional career as an operator, or like you were saying, you operated on Fargo and then got bumped up. So it's really interesting to have that. It's super essential skill.
Yeah.
And to be like, not today, it's interesting. Are you ever like, Oren, who were you talking to? Were someone, Ben Seminoff. Ben Seminoff was an operator
turned director.
You
kind of skip the DP, or not that DP is in
but
the
to
middle
me, that
of
makes
the
sense.
director,
That makes total sense.
For sure. And it was a really wonderful conversation. But at one point he mentions like being like, can I just show you what I mean? Every once in a while he would say to an operator, like, and like shoulder up and like show the move, and then they'd plus it and they'd figure it out. It was always very respectful, but that's why it's so interesting to me. Do you ever get that itch, or are you just like, no, this is somebody else's job now? Or department, jurisdiction is maybe a better way to say it.
In this whole Noah Hawley universe, I came up with this operator named Mitch Dubin, and he's Spielberg's operator. I mean, he's done, his credits make me cry. And he taught me a lot about what it was to be an operator. He also taught me what it was to be a filmmaker. But the most important thing he did was when I really started shooting, he made me promise I would never operate again. And it wasn't because I suck. It was because there's like a sanctity to the camera operator in filmmaking that is getting lost now. And it's such an important position. It's more important than anybody thinks. It's the direct line to the actors. It's who the director should be talking to just as much as me. And also they're running the set with the AD. Like, to me, it's the most important position I have. My business partner is my camera operator. I would never have a business with anyone, but he is so important to my how I work, my workflow. And, it allows me to spend time with the director. My biggest thing about being an operator is when you're on the camera, you're thinking about the now, which is great, but I need to be thinking about the future and not just the next shot, not just the next scene, but I need to be talking to the AD about the implosion of the next day that just happened, or, talking to producers about how we're, on a movie, you're like prepping as you go. So I think for me, the joy that I get from collaborating is collaborating with everyone. And that means the director and the operator and the gaffer and the key grip and, every other department that works alongside our departments. But I mean, I operated like 2 movies ago, I had to operate. And I think it's a lesser movie for it.
Because you're missing a collaborator is what I mean.
Yeah. And also just, it's another person that understands what you're trying to do and pushes you to stay in line with that. Like me and my operator, he'll be like, but you guys set this and you're just trying to do that because you're losing time. But we actually have to do this the way that you wanted to do it. And I'm like, fair. I love that. Fight with me more. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. I love that.
I love that. I love that.
And I personally I very rarely have like a separate operator and DP, but when I do, I love having the DP. I mean, when you're on Steadicam or when you're on a Techno Crane or whatever, you get those opportunities. But when, a lot of times you don't. But I love having the DP next to me at the monitor and just being like, because like you're talking about lighting and Matt's like, what you come from operating, like, isn't that the thing that you're most focused on? But to me, if you're, we've all operated a bit. When I started out, I was operating a lot, and it's the lighting. You see all the problems. You're like, they want a shot of her, but you can't see her face because it's so dark. So I'm trying to come around, but now the background is weird, and it's like, and also knowing that the lighting, like you get that cool flare, you get that cool thing, or somebody walks from light into darkness, and you're like, oh, the lighting is doing so much storytelling on top of the camera work.
Absolutely. That's my biggest thing is for me, my biggest way of emoting mood and tone is through lighting. Like the camera part I have down because I was an operator. So I can tell operators what's not working for me. And I know also how to communicate what I would like and what the director wants. But for me, like I think about shots that have like changed the way I look at cinema, and it's because of the lighting. And I think that the best DPs that I really look up to are people that aren't operating anymore and really are focusing on the image. And then also I think for me, it's like sometimes you guys have like great thoughts while we're in the middle of the take. And sometimes I can do that. I can I can have the dimmer board so I can just fade something up or fade it down. And like, we're not, it's like that's like the magic of filmmaking to me. And I feel like I'm not present.
Like playing the instrument. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like freeform jazz, and there's some of that where like you could do that in operating. But I think all these shows that I'm on now, these like high concept shows, the thing that makes them that is not just the camera work, but the quality of the lighting. Like, that's, I think Alien would suffer if we didn't pay attention to that as much. Well, and none of us operated,
On that note, I'm curious about, because Fargo, I saw season 5 and loved it. It was very naturally lit, right? It's like a lot of cold environment. I mean, obviously you have lights, but it feels like natural. It's a fireplace, right? Like it's light coming through a window, or like it's exterior daytime, interior nighttime. It doesn't feel, it's sourcey ever,
No, that's the goal, which is amazing. Yeah.
But then you look at a show like Alien, which is probably 100 year in space, I assume. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no one
100% of the light there's the sun, I assume, maybe some planets that are bouncing some light, or moons, but mainly it's electrical lights that are built into your set. And I'm curious, a friend of mine, it's also a cinematographer, Yuki Noguchi, years ago told me that like the production designer's job, when you work with a good production designer, they are thinking lighting. Their set is designed around lighting, and on a show like Alien, much more to me as an outsider than Fargo, lighting is important. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you work with a production designer to kind of figure out the lighting and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, weirdly enough, like on a TV show like that, I end up working with the art director a lot more because the production designer is like on all the episodes. But I think, so everything's rigged, as we kind of go. So there's like thousands of lights underneath floors, through all the panels, we have like emergency lights everywhere. But I think during the show, it starts to progress. So sometimes you're like, there's a moving fan and then you'll add a hard light through it because you want that movement. So I feel like it's almost like this game of like, yes and. So you're like, okay, cool. We start with the ship as the movie is. You have all your emergency lights. You have the beams of light coming through like the window kind of things. But then it's like, well, how can we make it crazier? And at some point, it does just need to be that crazy. So we'll like walk through, we do a lot of pre-lighting on Alien. So you get to see the concept, you get to see the vision, you get to keep adding. But also like there's a funny story, which is we shot this big fight in episode 5 and I was picking up a lot of it. And there's a shot of the Xeno and it's like a 360 camera shot into this like kind of cavernous space. And I was like,
when you say 360, you mean like an insta or the camera is rotating?
In the like roll axis, it was going 360.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And then he's like, and the Xeno's like freaking out. And I was just like, oh, this would be so much better if there was like a crazy backlight. And then I brought the art team and we cut a hole in the door and put a window in while we were shooting. It's like we'd shot the whole scene. You probably never saw it. But what it did is I blasted a hard light through there and it's like pulsing. And so it's just the emotion of it all, right? And I think that's
not a CG.
No, that is a man, Cameron, in a suit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can tell, because if it was a CG alien, you probably would not have noticed the missing light as much, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably not. But also that's the difference between good and great, right? Is you're like, it's good, but how do I make it iconic? I think that's like, as a DP on Alien, that's where you're constantly asking yourself is you want it to be like watching the movie. I'm never going to, I didn't shoot the movie, but I can try and get as close as I can.
There has to be moments when you're just like, oh, this looks like Alien. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a scene in episode 1 that I did not shoot, but there's a scene in the kitchen and it is, to me, the closest thing to Alien, like looking like it was shot in the 70s, looking like it was a part of the movie. And it's the simplest lighting probably out of anything. But yeah, I think like sometimes you really feel like you nail it. Like, I talk about this all the time. So I'm always like, again, but I did the chest burster in this season, which is like a very big homage to one. And I was like losing my mind when I was doing that because for the most part, we did it shot for shot because it's so iconic.
Yeah.
But also for me, the show is kind of through the eyes of children. And I talk about this a lot. Like I saw the movie when I was young and I remember what that felt like. And so to me, it's like, how do I make it feel like it's from the perspective of a child? Oh, wait, I lived that. I watched this happen.
Sure.
But then how do you like imbue that into the visual language? But
and how did you? In what ways did you adjust things to revise it in that way?
I think weirdly, it's like the height of the camera, how close you are, and then the respective like reactions of our cast members. And it's just like the lens, it's just I hate to say a vibe, but when you're looking at a monitor and you're just like, if I just boom down a little bit and if I get a little bit closer and maybe I have one lens longer, it really starts to feel like what you're talking about. I think that was definitely, is a little bit longer lenses, more like the movie. Like that was my thing is I am just such a student and I will watch things over and over and over again and break them down and really understand like, what lens are they using? Where is the camera? Why is it there? What is the lighting? And then I can start to make my decisions because I've studied the other decisions so much. Yeah.
This is a funny question for both you and Oren, but did you ever consider looking at the end of Spaceballs?
Hello, my baby.
Sure. Yeah. So there's the chest burster homage at the end of Spaceballs that I saw before I saw Alien and was very disturbed as a child, right? It's so scary. Yeah. You don't get the joke. You're just like, oh man.
I was in the same,
of a certain age. And anyway, but the reason I bring it up besides loving it is also it shows you a different way to shoot that same sequence to a totally different effect.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's funny.
But that's the thing is there's like millions of ways to shoot things. Like if we all got the same script, and I'm not a director, but let's pretend, we would all shoot it so differently.
Yeah,
and
my chest burster would be dancing.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's the beauty behind it. And it's like to see the actual product and be like, wow, that was the decisions made by everybody involved is like, to me, so special because I just know somebody else would have done it differently. I think about that with DPs all the time. When I have to match DP's work, I study their work so it doesn't look like mine, it looks like theirs when it has to go in their episode. And I always ask myself the question, well, how would I have done this? And then I throw that question away because it doesn't matter.
Say better.
No, but it's like a good study, right? Like in perspective and like just even perspective as people that are making the movie. We think a lot about perspective of people in the movies, but not about the people that make the movies. And so you can gather a lot of that by watching people's work, I think, if you look at it closely enough.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the dramatic chest burster versus the comedic chest burster.
Yeah.
The last show we were going to ask you about was Pen 15 because it just seems like the same DP would never shoot Alien, Earth, and Pen 15. I know obviously Pen 15 came before, but it's not that long before, right?
7-8 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
It's overnight in Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was a strike and a pandemic in between those that time. So not only tonally was it drastically different, but budget wise,
yes,
I can only assume Alien, and I have a decent understanding on Pen 15.
Pen 15, they couldn't even afford the I and the S for the title. They had to go to the numbers. That, from what I understand.
Yeah, Anna and Maya just had a busted keyboard and they didn't fix it. So
I was such a fan of Pen 15 that even I was kind of shocked of the size when I had taken it, to be honest.
And you mean how small?
How small it was. Yeah. I and because it was such a hit, I feel like by the time I took it, because there was over a year between season 1 and 2. Like I said, 455 days between season 2 part 1 and season 2 part 2.
And you did season 2 part 2.
I did season 2 part 2. And the crazy thing was I had never done a comedy. I had no idea why they had reached out to my agent for me to do this until I met with Maya and I realized that I was going to do the episode that she was directing called Yuki, which is an homage to her mom. And she wanted it to be in the vein of Wong Kar-wai, like In the Mood for Love. And so then I completely understood my place there. I was
and you shot In the Mood for Love.
Oh, I wish I shot In the Mood for Love.
Did you shoot stuff that was like that in that vein?
Yeah, I think that episode does that, honestly.
Before you had shot that episode, was that kind of in your portfolio?
I think so. I think more dramatic, kind of surreal things I like, and some romance stuff. But it was a big shift for me to do comedy. And then, that episode was one thing because I could connect to that story. My mom's an immigrant. And so all those things really spoke to me. But then I also had to do the rest of the season. But I was such a fan of the show that to me, it felt so natural to go and do it. And I had so much I could look at. And also I had the source, Maya and Anna are right there. They're directors and producers. And like I said, I just think the whole beginning of my career was basically coming in to do reshoots and pickups on way bigger things than me. I was kind of like a little ghost DP. But part of my job was to watch what had been done, break it down, and slide in and shoot it like you would even know there was a different DP. So I just tried to do that on Pen 15 with especially the other DPs named for season 2 is Adam Silver, who I ended up working. I operated for him before that, and randomly I got the job, and then we ended up doing a show together after that as well. So, I think really it's just about collaboration and the scripts that you're given. To me, there's so much in the script that I feel like I can see how it wants to be shot. And the crazy thing is, not only have I Pen 15 is one of these reasons, I've kind of gone away from straight drama. I think that I don't know, I think I like dramas that have comedy in them because I think that's life. And the more comedy I do, the more I'm people want good looking comedies. And I think that Pen 15 really started my trajectory on that because every time I go into a meeting, the first show a producer will ask me about is Pen 15. It's the smallest thing I've really done, but it made such a big impact on my career. So I know it's crazy, but that's why I'm so grateful for my career. I feel like it's so strange and fluid. And I've just gotten to explore so many different facets of filmmaking. And I feel like it's made me better because of it.
That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about just the visual approach on Pen 15?
Yeah. It's definitely a more straightforward, grounded, realistic show in the camera work. I think mostly it's the subjectivity of Pen 15. So that's really makes it what it is. So just to hark back, if you think about them kissing each other in the show, Maya and Anna, who are adults, needing to kiss cast members that are kids, and it needs to be visual trickery. What they do is it's all in perspective, and it's push-ins on the lips and push-ins on the eyes. And it's really about how they're seeing the world with these other children around them. And so a lot of it is like more camera work. It's where you put the camera to punctuate the joke that they're making. And sometimes it's not even a written joke. It's more, you know, a cheeky point they're trying to make. There's like, there's a scene where they, you know, breastfeed each other. And it's just like, how do you do that? It's, you know, it's a fake nipple. So it's all camera trickery. But like, to be honest, I wish I remember what the camera package was. It was so long ago. But it's really also with Pen 15.
It was a Canon 5D, I think.
No, but wasn't it like Sony Venice or Red or something like that?
It wasn't. It was either Venice or I want to say it was Alexa Mini. But like,
that sounds right, actually.
Yeah, but probably a pretty like.
Is it a lot of handheld or is it kind of more?
It was a mix.
Dolly?
It was a mix. I mean, I think our stint there was very dolly heavy, but also we were like, I don't know, different group of people. I mean, it was all my crew. So it was like very strange where we're picking up the same show and I'm with the same directors, but it's a completely different crew and it's my first time. But I had a lot of access to Adam Silver, who did the beginning of the season. So we would talk about it. But there was handheld when it needed to be chaos. And that show needs to be chaos sometimes. I think the bigger thing for the DP about that show is you're lighting the world and not the people, which is like now the opposite of how I do things. But like they need to be able to move.
Now you're like people?
Yeah. Like in that show, like if we're in this room, all the light would have to be off the floor. It'd have to be through the windows. Maybe it's rigged, right? And it's because if Maya jumps to that other side of the room, you're going to the other side of the room. You're reacting. And you want it to look good.
But you're saying that would be unplanned for her to do that?
Yeah, for sure. I think that show is chaos in the best way, where it's already written so well, but the thing that makes that show so amazing is Maya, Anna, and the cast and what they do and how they respond to each other. Like Maya and Anna would just start fighting and then they would just tumble to the ground. And it's like, okay, we're going there now. You know what I mean? So I think as a
there's
DP...
not a light down there that ruins the shot, right? To your point.
No, you hope not, right? I think as a DP for them, it's more about setting the stage, almost like it's a play. You know, you're kind of lighting it globally like that. Where, now as on Alien, everyone's got, you know, some shots are 360 and then we do what we need to do. But like, that show's lit. It is, you know, there's a key light, a fill light, a backlight, and then the environment most of the time. So
you just have an iPad that you're like, okay, the person's standing here, let's turn this on and this off and angle this a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we have like amazing dimmer board ops. Like my dimmer board op on Alien was the guy that made all the lighting theatrics for the Sphere. You know what I mean? So it was like because a lot of it is more like, you know what, I really feel like we need to put a pulsing light here, or there needs to be like an eruption of light and then it needs to go black.
Somebody like talks into a walkie and then it happens.
I talk to somebody, then someone talks in Thai to somebody else and they talk in Thai to the team. Yeah. No, it was like a crazy experience in Thailand.
Oh, right. Because it's all Thai.
It's all Thai.
I think my production designer worked on Alien. His name is P. Big. Do you know?
Oh, yeah. Like, honestly, I mean, we had so many.
They all have the same name.
They all have the same name. I think I know what you're talking about. And also we had like...
He's kind of big.
You know, we had like 1,000-person crew or something crazy. We have a picture of our crew from the last day, and that's just the people that were there the last day. It's from the rafters of the stage, and I look like an ant. You would have to zoom in more than that picture could take for you to see me. But like, that's why that show is the way it is. It's the labor of so many people that work so hard to put it together and to be able to experiment and be creative and do last minute things like, you know, cut a hole in a door and put a light through it.
While a guy is in an alien suit waiting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, hopefully you can take the head off or something.
Oh, I have so many pictures with him with the head off. And I'm really like, you know, because I think it's so crazy that it's like a guy in a suit. But yeah, I think, you know, everyone was such a team player. And it was cool because everyone's like just as involved with like, when you see the creatures who are all puppeted by creature effects people and they're really practical, like there's a lot of VFX obviously to enhance it.
Sure.
But we're doing it on the day. So you're kind of learning as you go. Like I shot a creature that was the first time that it was ever kind of established. And, you know, that's kind of a crazy thing to think about where you're like, oh, I'm about to, like, imagine establishing the chest burster for the first time. Like, that's just a crazy thing. So yeah, every day was a new adventure for sure. And yeah, I try not to make anyone wait too long with being in a suit.
Sure,
and those shoes on.
It
Yeah.
does make me think of like there's like vintage photos of the actor who played the first xenomorph. Just kind of like sad, just like waiting.
Yeah.
In between takes, like with maybe like a vintage Coke or like I don't want to say a juice box,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like tired and hot. Yeah,
It
Those
reminds
photos
me
are
of
always
like
crazy,
Star
like
Wars.
R2D2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Return to Oz, I think like they had like some weird little robots and stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
Return to Us, the
Yeah.
scariest of all the movies we've talked about this episode.
Yeah.
Joke.
Well, this
so
is
scary. Yeah.
This is awesome. And so you have Ted Lasso coming up next. I'm
Mhm.
assuming that's like
Mhm.
lands somewhere in the middle between Alien and Pen 15.
Yeah. It's a pretty like simple show. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's again is really about the storytelling more than anything else. But yeah,
Probably
so
the brightest show you've shot, right?
they came in and told me, do your thing. They wanted it to be different because it's American. It's an American.
Right.
And so they wanted an American
So you have
sensibility.
license for it to look
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
interesting.
all red
So-
hats.
Yeah, so if you hate
Everyone's
it, you can
drinking
blame
coffee.
me.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the Britannic movie will come out before Ted Lasso, which is the craziest movie it's the craziest thing I've ever done.
Can you tell us
Um,
anything about it?
It's a movie with Gaten Matarazzo from Stranger Things,
Mhm.
Sean Jabroni and Lulu Wilson. And essentially they're on a journey to get a pizza in their dorm and chaos ensues. And that's
Great.
that's what I
And
can
you don't know
say.
the name of the movie, but you know it's coming out before Ted Lasso.
It might be called Untitled Pizza Movie, to be honest. The title is the hardest thing that we're working on. It comes out, I think, 4/20.
I was going to say, like, tonal comps, I'm getting like a little Harold and Kumar, maybe.
It's Harold and Kumar Goes to White Castle meets, for me, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and also definitely homage to Everything Everywhere All at Once. So
Awesome.
it's like a very visually surreal, crazy movie. Super funny, very Britannic. And I think
I
people
see it
are
on
really gonna
IMDb
enjoy it.
Pro. The Untitled Britannic Pizza Movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And how did you get that job?
I got that job because my agent at the time called Nick and Brian and said, basically, I know who's going to shoot this movie. It's Bella. And they knew Maya and Anna. They're friends with like everybody. So they knew Maya, Anna, and Sam and called Maya and Anna, and they all spoke, I guess, highly. Thank God. And, my agent called me because I was like, it's like, should I do more comedy? And he was like, this is the movie you're going to do. You need to do this movie. And I'm very grateful because it's not just a comedy, but it is a comedy. But it's the movies that, like, if you think about movies you would take with you to a desert island, they're not going to be Citizen Kane. For me, Scott Pilgrim's going to be one of them. Probably like She's the Man. Like a movie that I can watch over and over and over again. And I think that's like completely shifted my sensibility. Like, yes, I want to do the big TV shows that I'm doing because I like being, involved and creative.
Employed? Is that what
employed.
Making big bucks.
But for movies, I'm like, let's get weird and let's kind of be funny. Let's be entertaining because that's the kind of movies I want to watch now, to be honest.
I see American High as a production company.
American
Did you
High
guys
is.
shoot at that high school, the American High School? You know
Yes,
about
sir.
this, right, Matt?
I do. Yeah. For the listeners at home, though, because everything I know about American High is like second hand, third hand.
Didn't we
Tell us
we had some people. Oren Brimmer directed Second Unit on a movie that Natalie Morales directed there. We had some people that have shot some stuff there.
I don't know if that made it to air or not, but so Bella, it sounds like you're the expert. Tell us a little bit about American High.
Yeah,
just
kind of our listeners shoot there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a high school that the company owns, basically.
Yes. So
in
Jeremy,
Jersey?
It's in Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
Jeremy Gerlich, who I think wrote and directed The Breakup. Him and some business partners own this. They bought like a high school that turned into like church, into a police station that is now a school that they shoot like school kind of driven movies in. Everything is a working set, the entire school. It's got like 2 kind of small stage areas that you can do builds. But I think they have like a deal with Hulu right now. So I really like what they're doing in terms of like making movies between $5 and $15 million, and they're making a lot of them. And they're also making pilots. So I like the idea that people are able to go make those size movies often because they have the infrastructure.
An interesting business model.
They have a high school laying around. Yeah.
Because they probably don't put a ton of money in, but they're giving you a ton of resources, and then they own a piece of the movie. It's an interesting that business model rarely works in Hollywood.
Yeah,
because usually you can't just be like, oh, we'll buy a bunch of Alexas and you can use them, and we own part of the movie. And people are like, no, we'll just rent our own Alexa.
I'll just pay you for it.
But when you have this full on high school,
they have the only stage in Syracuse. There was other stages and they closed down. And so
the
they
tax
have
credit.
It's supply and demand. And then the upstate tax credit, like all this year, it was just flooded with movies that were upstate New York, or like I did a movie that was in Connecticut, Hudson Valley. You know what I mean? So that's like a really popular area right now. And they're making so many movies that I think are so important, like that 5 to 10 range. Like the movies that I think we're going back to, because I think the industry has realized that we can only take so much superhero.
Sure. Yeah. Well, people stopped going. So
yeah. And I think then our successful movies, I mean, you look at like a Nora. Look at the movies that are now going up for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And I think
Weapons. I guess it's 38 million, but
I mean, but even so, I think but I wonder what Barbarian was much, much, much smaller.
Yeah. We heard that just from Googling, supposedly the director of Weapons got $10 million. So the production budget, who knows how much they actually spent to make it,
I mean, that's any movie. Sometimes I'm like, this is how much I feel like we're making like a $2 million movie, like by the time you actually get down to what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah.
And movies are so different than TV in that like TV almost feels like there's like not infinite resources, but it feels like you're going to make it work. And in a movie, you're like, are we going to be able to do this? Are we going to be able to truly
amortizing over time, right?
Yeah. And I think that there's like unfortunately, it's like by the time you get to the end of the season, maybe you're kind of out of money, but also it's the end of the season. So you like they kind of make it good, where like with a movie, you're just like, I feel like it's a constant struggle for survival. Like every day you're just trying to do the best with what you have. But that's what I like about them. I like the scrappiness of a movie. I really do. And like going back and forth.
Raising money while you're shooting.
Yeah, like Pizza Movie, we were calling pizza companies for money, Like give us an ad.
It might be called Pizza Hut the movie.
Yeah, we were down. Well. Honestly, we were just like at anything, because the vision was huge. It was so much bigger than the budget allowed. But I was like, the script is too good to kind of
Is it an action comedy? Or how is the vision so big?
It's think about a movie that's an homage to to a lot of different kinds of movies that we know and love. That's the kind of movie it is. It's like a drug movie.
Like not another teen movie.
And they're tumbling through different phases or realities or something like that. That's just me guessing.
Exactly.
I don't know anything about
that. And then visually, like, I think Nick and Brian are such moviegoers that their writing was influenced by different genres. And so we got to explore a lot of genres. And also I got to build like custom equipment. And so it was like really about, I mean, we tried to make the craziest movie we could. So there's never enough money in that way. But also I think for us, not having money was actually like a blessing because it made us so creative. And that's something I feel, and I talked about in the interview, is like your resourcefulness that you have to get when you don't have money sometimes is the bearer of the best ideas.
Right.
And I knew that movie was going to be like that. And it really like, we had fun. We're going to go get matching tattoos. Like somehow we've got through it. And I think we're surprised with what we were able to do, honestly, which is good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think, people who get matching tattoos after they make a movie together bodes well,
You think it's a trauma bond thing?
I think so. I
just want, I want to make sure the movie comes out, because we're also getting something that's so, if the movie doesn't come out, or if this line doesn't get put in the movie, the tattoo would be so embarrassing.
Oh, sure.
Sure. Yeah.
You're like, sorry, we got cut for it was going to be.
I know.
Ratings, NC-17 really, or more realistically, R to PG-13. You just make so much more money if it's a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, there's no shot this movie could be PG-13, but it's
cool.
Nice. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to come back when the movie comes out. I can't wait to check it out.
Then we'll have to do it. You could do it with Nick and Brian, because they are such hams. And then all of a sudden, this is a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Finally.
I love that. Yeah, I'd love some actual funny people on it.
Somebody to be funny on it, yeah. It's just like the most obvious joke, Warren. He makes it every time. Bella, this was a delight. At least I had a great time talking to at least one person. on the show.
I had a great time with both of you.
Do you have a second to do an unpaid endorsement with us?
Of course.
Unpaid endorsements.
Okay, so my unpaid endorsement is a little broad, but I'm gonna go for it. I've noticed whenever I'm like on Instagram getting served stuff, or I'm on TikTok, anytime I see someone has clipped something out from Ethan Hawke at like a Q&A or an interview or whatever, I always like it. I always agree. And it's like real highfalutin. It's really artsy fartsy. It's like real like middle-aged dude talking about how art is valuable. And I'm like, yes, Ethan Hawke, you're right. So my endorsement is,
You're an Ethan Hawke stan.
if you see Ethan Hawke on your social media, stop
Watch
that
it.
thumb from scrolling and watch it. I stand by it. I stand by it.
We love
Yeah.
Ethan. Are you watching his new show?
I'm not. I'm just watching his social
Is it
media.
the lowdown? Is that
The
what-
Lowdown. Yeah.
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 Yeah, he's got the lowdown. He's also got Black Phone 2. So like,
Yes.
he's popping up. He's popping up. But he had just to paraphrase the most recent clip that really struck a chord with me. He was talking about, actors, and, he was gaming it out for people, and he was saying like, hey, if you don't like the idea of in 20 years from now, like being an acting teacher, right? Not being famous, but like still practicing your craft. If that doesn't appeal to you, what are you doing? Right. Because his point is he believes that art has value and that making art gives people value. And so if that's not what you're interested in, if you're interested in fame or money or something else, then maybe acting isn't the thing for you. And like I said, that's real middle-aged movie star.
That
stuff,
speaks to me though.
But it's real.
I get that.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Yeah.
true, right? Like
Yeah.
there's going to be highs and lows, and sometimes you're going to be making something really cool and sometimes not. But like acknowledging that the work that we do has an intrinsic value to it on whatever scale you're doing, I think is pretty real. That's pretty good. So my short-brimmed fedora hat tip to Ethan Hawke. Bella, what you got?
I just saw this movie for the first time, and it kind of blew my mind, which is Ridley Scott's The Duelist, which is an older film, which is why I thought it might be great. And also I was like, okay, Ridley Scott with a comedy. I thought it was so funny, and I had no idea what I was going into. Guillermo del Toro did like a screening of 4 movies in a day, and it was his movies that he really thought were like the timeless period pieces of, that needed to be shown now. I went and saw it, and I was also, right now I'm on a Ridley Scott kick, obviously.
Sure.
But it was a 35 mil print. It's
Came out in
amazing.
1977.
1977.
What a year for movies.
Ridley Scott operated the movie. Speaking of operators and directors and all that.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous movie. It's strange, but in a great way. And I was just like, oh, how funny this is kind of blowing my mind. And I have been telling everyone I know to watch it now.
Awesome. I have to check it out. The Duelist. That's
The
Duelist.
Duelists with an S
Duelists.
at the end.
Oh, Duelists. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no relation to your favorite activity, Matt, which is to-do lists.
I do love to-do lists. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I have a gear recommendation. Thing I just bought today, or just arrived today. It's called. I pulled it up so I can tell you. It's from a company I'd never heard of called iFootage, which doesn't even sound like a gear company. But I got this ad served to me on Instagram, and it's called the A400 round base monopod. And if you are a person that ever needs to put like a light in your office because you are on a podcast or something, or you're doing vlogs, or you're shooting something, or you're on a lot of Zoom meetings, but light stands, they usually have 3 legs, even like a lightweight one, and they just take a lot of floor room. And the offices, and our home offices are usually small, and we have couches and all sorts of things. So I'll try to bring this a little closer so you guys can see it. But can you guys see anything? Oh no, let me turn off my zooming thing.
I think it was actually sort of helping.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It's like it's just like a monopod that just goes up and down.
We can't see the base. Is it just like?
I'll show you the base in a second.
Just well, almost like an umbrella, like a patio umbrella.
Yes, it's like a disc. It's really heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tip over. You can hold this. You see, I have like this aperture, whatever, with the big light box on it that it just holds no problem, and it takes like literally a quarter of the space that my old light stand took. So
No, that's great.
I might actually get one of these for my camera too. It comes with either like a light stand on the top or like a baby pin. Oh, hold on.
Apologies to anyone listening to the podcast right now.
Yeah.
Or it's off the mic, dragging heavy equipment.
I forgot that you can't hear me because I'm so far away, but
We can hear you. It just sounded terrible.
sorry. It's got like either a baby pin on the top or just like a 3/4 inch screw or however big a screw for like a camera mount, like a little ball head mount would be. And it's awesome. I love it. And I learned about it on Instagram. So
Pretty
thanks,
cool.
Instagram
Also,
ads.
It's also kind of cool if you had to make your own fixture. Like if you needed to build a light to put into a room because you have no money and you just want to put a China ball on top of something with a base. Sounds
Sure.
like something that could be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's cool.
the fact that it's just really heavy,
Yeah.
like an umbrella. It's
Yeah.
it's like if you could mount a light on top of an umbrella base. Anyhow,
Awesome.
and it's really, really thin too. It's like 1/4 inch. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome.
Okay, well that's it. If you're excited about anything, if you have better jokes than us,
Before we get into our outro, Bella, how can people keep track
good
of you,
question.
learn more about what you're making, what you're doing, what you're shooting?
Right. I'm really a pretty offline individual. I'm only on Instagram.
That's
I'm
great.
Pretty sure,
Instagram's great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my Instagram's Bella Gonzales, and I spell my name with an S at the end. A DP. It's just really simple. And yeah, I mean, just, my next like 4 shows are Hulu. So just have a Hulu subscription
Sure,
and then
there you
you'll
go.
find me somewhere. Yeah.
That's great.
nice.
Awesome. Well, if you have questions for Bella beyond Instagram, you can always email us at justshootitpod@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media at justshootitpod across all social media. And me at Mr. Matt and Oren.
And I'm at O Kaplan, also on Instagram. And this episode was edited by Kevin O. Yang. Thanks, Kevin. The social media is done by Lily Bouvier, and our producer is Tyler Small. And you're listening to music from the Free Music Archive and artist Jazar. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.